All right, so CV link. So this is for the A4 frame, the Mark 1. Hopefully it's the only Mark. This will be, hopefully everything goes right. We'll be all good to go. So I'm just going to do an explainer for the A4 frame. And then should everything work out okay, the rest of the 7 are the same. So this is going to be basically typical for how they get constructed. So, but I just wanted to touch on a few things. They're not that difficult, but just a few trickiness as usual. Got some trickiness going. So with that being said, let's get after it. So lay of the land real quick. This is for the A4 that's coming your way. You already have the print sheets anyway, but you got the 2 panels for the A4, and then you got what you need for a single frame, jiggy wise and all that. And then coming after that will be panels for A1 through 3, should everything work okay. And then we have B1 through 4, so the rest of them. And then all of the frame parts will be the same as A4, should everything be fine. But like I said, we're holding off on that. And we do have the mounts for A1 through 3 and B1 through 4. And then you've got the discs hangers, which I think are going to be fine. I did change this a little bit, but otherwise I think we're good there. And then of course the tough ack is the tough ack, like that's how it is. So, and then okay, yeah, these are for the A4 mounts, so you'll see what's up with that. Make sure there's reference kisses on that, and I'll show you what's up with that right now. So let's just start with the panels anyway. It's easier. So you'll have the A4 right and left. They're going to be riddled with 1024 Rovals for them to install. So that's basically how it's going to mount to the frame once they put the frame up. And then you can see where, based on where you're going to have those 1024, you guys did the tester, so that's exactly how it's going to be. I ordered in some 1024 steels, riv nuts, and then I also ordered in all the little links and all the eyelets that you're going to need. So that should be there Friday. I ordered it Thursday, so if you're watching this on Friday, you be on the lookout. Bolo. So you're just going to riv nut gun. What's up, riv nut gun? So you're just going to riv nut gun wherever you see these. Now you can reference the PDF, but you'll see where these holes are. And then for that matter, down the spine, that's what kind of makes this tricky, is where these two, man, I just want to sing Run DMCs, man. It's tricky to rock around the clock. Where this goes down the spine is unfortunately where shiny discs go. So for the riv nuts for the middle spine part, they're actually going to be installed into the frame, into the jiggies. So we'll get to that right there. So that's where they go. So it's going to make it a little weird, but it is what it is. So you're just going to do 1, 2, 2 bend, and then you're just going to weld these up nice and strong in the corners. So that will put up with them kind of lifting them and putting them up in the air and doing what they need to do to install these. So make sure those are bent up nice, and then just weld them up good. And then the frames will be, you're going to build in chamfers into the frames, so that way they have plenty of clearance for that. But let's go ahead and make sure that we don't have any weld boogers or anything. Let's make sure it's nice and cleaned up for them. But let's do a little more than maybe just tack. Let's make sure we get some good, because we don't want it to break apart. So, but anyway, so I think that's the panels. I think you got that figured. Once you get that figured out, you can see where like A3 and A2, A3 and A1 both have a lot more discs, so you'll have to do a lot more riv nuts. And then same thing with B. B has a couple more here, but it'll all be the same. Once you get that figured out, boom, you're laughing. Okay, so to assemble the frames, what you're going to do is you're going to take the mounts. Now, I wanted to make sure it was very clear to them which side goes to which. So make sure that you put this in the proper order. So A4 left and A4 right. There's not really a top and a bottom per se, but there is if you make sure that A4 left is all on the left. So you pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side, and then you do all the A4s on the right. And so when you assemble this thing, so like in the middle, A4 right and A4 left, these two are interchangeable. But if you were to flip this 180, then it would be wrong, because this would be right and that'd be left. So make sure. Now it will fit backwards, so it's going to be up to you to make sure you get all the writing on one side proper. That way, they're going to put these frames up first, and then they're going to be new boys. They haven't installed signs before, and they're going to look and see A4 left. and they're going to know that this gets flipped. It's going to get horizontal flipped, and then that way they'll just match that up to the frame, and it'll say A4, A4 left and then A4 right. So that way when there might just be a pile of frames. And then so you can see where this is where the center line is. So essentially it's almost like two separate frames here that I had to kind of put together. Even though the ends are one piece and the bottom's one piece there, or I call it the bottom, but it's the ends, and then the sides are one piece. But technically this spine is acting like two put together. So that's the weird part. And I really haven't had a frame that's this compromised by the 1/4 inch. So the 1/4 inch is acting like the jiggy for the frame, but it's like having to take up the whole back area, and it's causing to have to really put a notch in these frames. So good luck with that. See what's up. You can throw a 193, so wake up the 193 Clecos. You'll have the 193 to reference on the front, on the back side, and then of course you'll have 193 on the ends here. Now I do have E for ends, and I have S for sides, so it's not east and it's not south or south. The ends are the ones that have the full piece of 1/4 inch in them, and then I'm just calling the sides, even though these are fully 8x8. They're the same size, but this side is only receiving 2 pieces a 1/4. So that's what I'm calling the side that takes it takes the brunt bonk. And then you have middles, which aren't the centers. The middles are the M's, but those are the ones here that just get slid through. So I'm thinking you're going to have to slide 1/4 through first, reference your 193s, and kind of get these sort of jiggied in place. And then you're going to come in and put the hard candy shell and wrap it around and tuck it in. So good luck with that. And then all your jiggies will be on the top side. So the way this works is it's the usual, let me go ahead and flip this over here, but it's the usual asymmetrical. So we have 1.5 inches on top, and we have 2x on the back. Now I understand it's going to be a pain in the booty to get the guns in there. So you're going to have to do the best you can. But what I did is I went ahead and made the jiggies stick out that full 1/2 inch. So you'll have that tray like we do, because you're not going to be able to get a gun in from this side because the 6 inch or 1/4 inch is going to be blocking you, aluminum block. So go ahead and do as much as you can around here and hit the face of this to the jiggy and do the best you can there. Also, you'll have a chance though, I'm putting a bend down here, and you'll be able to actually, I would throw a stitch on this. I wouldn't just tack it. Try to burn this thing to the side there as best you can, because you'll have that bend down there, right there, boom. And then that's going to tuck up right up against the 1/4 inch there as well. So if you can get the gun in there and actually tack that as well, that would be awesome. Tack this flange to the 1/4. And then of course you can get the gun in from this side. And this is what matters anyway, is these 4 strips are going to be doing all the work. They're putting in work, son. So all these 4 strips are going right to the concrete. Well, they're spaced off, but these 4 are going to support all this. So anywhere you have an intersection of 0.9 to 1/4, make sure you burn it in good. Let's get nice and strong. So on the back side, go ahead and weld anytime you've got 0.9 to there. Go ahead and hit it up on the back side here and hit it up on the back side there. And then also you will be able to get your gun in and hit this to the side there and go ahead and burn it on the side here. So let's make sure, because again, we're not installing this, so let's make sure they rest easy, whoever's installing this, and they see some good welding and they know like basically good faith, like, yeah, this thing ain't gonna fall apart. However, I did kind of go easy on the cross braces and stuff like that because it was just not necessary. So I wanted to keep these frames, they're 8 foot by 8 foot. I wanted to keep them as light as possible for us and for install. So ELF, extra light frame. So when it comes time to put the center spine in, it's kind of the same thing as these guys, except they're going to butt up against each other. And then I went ahead and put rivet holes so you can go ahead and rivet these together as well. So this spine will be super strong. And then that way you're good to go. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take these little magic jiggies right here and you're going to slide these through. I had to make some really funky openings here. So you're going to slide that through there and reference these Clecos, the orange ones. Well, they're not. They're just going to be holes for you. But this hole here is for the actual mounting of the panels. So, but your orange doubles here are for these jigs. And then for the center spine, like I was saying, this is where your 1024 eyelet's going, is there. Now, the unfortunate part of that is that it will make the putting the eyelet in, it's going to make the eyelet actually back an 09. So I'm not sure if that has to be adjusted a lot, if it's going to be really noticeable or not. Because what I'm thinking is you're going to, like I said, you're just going to riv nut. The blue is the panel right here. So that's the panel, right? So you're going to directly riv nut with our cool gun. You're going to directly riv nut those metals right to that. And then I'm thinking what we're going to do is put a 1024 nut, which I ordered a bunch in, and then counter tighten as close as you can right there to the threads and get that kind of counter tighten there. So that way, because what I'm also worried about is wind can sit here and kind of spin this. And wind has nothing but time on its hand. Even if it takes a year, it could take this little guy and keep spinning it around and it'll work its way out. And then you don't want this falling down on somebody's head, of course. So I say we counter tighten with a nut up against this and counter tighten. But what I'm saying is what you could do for the ones that are on the jiggy in the middle is you could just kind of back this out a little bit and make sure that these are like even with the other guys and just make those adjustments. But we can jump off that bridge when we get to it. I'm not sure if we want to just paint these. I'm thinking all of this is going to want to get painted, this whole assembly here. But I don't know if we hand them these or if we'll probably end up putting these in ourselves for them. But I'm not sure if they want all of this assembled because they need to get to the, let's go to the panels, right? I mean, you can see where like underneath this guy, they need to get to that screw. Under here, they need to get to these two screws, and that's hiding it there. So same thing here. So I'm not sure if they're going to want to lift these up preloaded with discs or not. So, but I imagine we would probably send, yeah, that's another thing too. So I don't know, I have to coordinate with paint if they want us to put the eyelets in and then send it to paint and this all gets painted, or we're going to like have to rack up 173 of these and they get painted different colors. And then we install them after, and paint the nuts and everything. So anyway, all that needs to be coordinated though. We got to make sure all that gets coordinated. But anyway, so I think you got that figured out. You're going to slide these through, Cleco them in spot. And then I made sure that these jiggies are the same 1/2 inch over because I think you can get your gun in though. And you can come in from the bottom and you can tack this, but let's make sure this is nice and strong because that's also going to kind of hold this together along with the rivets. And then you'll see where I have the extendo line here that allows for screwing into, screwing this up in there. You can see where that's going to go. So that should clearance both the riv nut. That's what the circle's for. So when you bend this, you'll have a full circle because these two will come together right now over me. And then the riv nut fits in there. And then that's where you have clearance there. So I think I made this long enough. I hope we don't have to carve out more. Let's just, keep an eye out for that. Let's test that. That's part of the Mark 1, the A4 Mark 1. Let's make sure that I clearance that enough. But anyway, I think you got it. So I think I got this correct, but make sure that the 1/4 inch will slide in okay. And then you're going to burn that all along there. Make sure you got this where the 09 touches the 6 inch, 1/4 inch. Just burn that all the way and burn here up against the frame there. Make sure all that's good. Where this guy, he's going to slide through and get tacked. Keep it clear. This is a no-fly zone because the next jiggy for the face actually comes in and bonks against there. So I would maybe just Cleco this guy into spot and then make sure you Cleco these guys into spot next to it. So you can see where those jiggies are shorties. So technically, don't put any tacks that would cause that to not clear. So that's what that's going to look like there. You know what I mean? So keep an eye out for that. So like I said, nothing crazy, but just some weirdness. And just make sure everything comes together good. And if everything's sexy, then I think, like I said, knock on wood, a lot of knocking on wood with this. Hoping everything comes together really well for you guys. So then it should come together awesome sauce, as they say. The kids these days. Anyway, and I think I have the layout back here if you guys want to reference. But like I said, you'll be able to see where the 1024s are. But on your PDF, you have this layout. So you'll be able to see where the panels are, or on the panel sheet as well. You got them there. So anyway, but as always, you know, if you have any questions, hit me up. Good luck. We're all counting on you.
Check the technique. Check the technique.